The Season 28 patch notes are finally here with some unexpected changes, like an Octane nerf, new inspect animations, and a pretty big change to the Mastiff that you're gonna want to hear, and obviously everything else, so let's just jump straight into it. First, we get some much needed details surrounding Hardlight Mesh. I know you guys love me saying that word. Respawn say the Apex games are evolving once again, adding new ways for players to move, engage, and fight. Legends will encounter Hardlight across windows in structures scattered throughout the world. Hardlight basically acts like a destructible and breachable window. While Hardlight meshes are intact, they're translucent, allowing players to see through them, but they block projectiles and player movement. When broken or damaged, Hardlight meshes rebuild after a lengthy delay. The specifics go as, at the start, Hardlight meshes are automatically spawned into the world at preset positions on various structures. Hardlight mesh defaults to 200 HP, but there are quicker ways to break it. Explosive damage does 8.5 times more damage, shotguns do 2.5 times more damage, snipers 3.5 times, and legend abilities 10 times more damage. Interestingly enough, Hardlight takes damage from the ring, Hardlight cannot be repaired, rebuilt, or reinforced while in the ring, and upon being reinforced, Hardlight health is set to 1250 HP. Hardlight cannot be rebuilt immediately after breaking, you have to wait 4 seconds, and controllers are subject to a limit on the number of reinforced Hardlights, having a max of 4. Reinforced Hardlight decays when the original reinforcing player exceeds the limit, and Hardlight reinforced decays when there are no players nearby for an extended period of time. When it decays, it goes back to 200 HP. Respawn say we'll continue monitoring community feedback about Hardlight as the season progresses, and we'll be making adjustments as necessary. Additionally, in Season 28, we're getting audio updates. Respawn say in Season 28, in a response to community feedback, we're taking it a step further by adding more audio customization options and giving you control. You can look forward to more granular customization options surrounding legend dialogue, ping dialogue, and announcer dialogue. On top of that, Respawn have changed a bit of the audio system so you'll always know when you've hit a shot. But let's go on to the legend patch notes, because this is the biggest part, and now we finally get the exact details on these changes. First, we have Fuse. For his passive, he's no longer going to be slowed when taking explosive damage, and over on his tactical, it has a faster weapon stow time when switching to the tactical, which will just make it faster overall. Respawn have also flattened the trajectory to make tap firing of his knuckle cluster more accurate. They've reduced the delay before explosions start up from 1.7 seconds to 1 second, and increased the base damage of his knuckle cluster from 10 to 15. But they've reduced the duration by 50%. So you're definitely going to want to play around with this in the firing range and make sure you understand it. For his ultimate, Respawn say, refreshed ultimate behavior, fires a mortar that explodes against the ground and then sprays out smaller bombs around its landing point. When aiming down sights, the mortar can pierce cover up to 13 meters and deliver explosives to the other side. For his upgrades, on his blue upgrades he has 2 new ones. Pyrotechniques, your ultimate will drop behind patches of fire for 8 seconds after the bombs explode, and Knuckle Jumper, where jumping next to your own knuckle clusters will give you an explosive boost, and this will destroy the knuckle cluster afterwards. For his purple upgrades, he has Reignition, where dealing explosive damage to enemies recharges your ultimate. For every 2 damage dealt, it will reduce the cooldown by 1 second, and to make room for these new upgrades, Ringmaster, Scar Tissue, and Knuckle Hustler were removed. Next in the patch notes we have Catalyst, who's going to be an annoyance this season combined with the Windows because Respawn buffed her passive ability. But before we talk about these buffs, have you ever heard of a little thing called War Thunder, the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, which is now on mobile as well as console and PC. In this game you can play with 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters and ships of 10 major nations, and all of these vehicles are so detailed with individual engines, fuel tanks, weapons and crew, which will show up when you shoot them in the X-ray mode. You'll notice all of this with War Thunder's realistic graphics, great sound effects and a worldwide community of over 95 million players. This game is always growing and the team makes sure it's open to everyone because it's heavily optimized and, like I said earlier, on mobile. And as a little treat, new and returning players who haven't played within the last 6 months on PC and consoles will get this massive bonus pack when you join the game from the link in my pinned comment and description. Thank thank you War Thunder for the sponsor. Okay, we're going to smash through the patch notes now. For Catalyst passive, you can now reinforce up to 4 doors when you could originally only reinforce 2. You're now going to be able to lock down buildings, and combined with reinforcing the windows, you're literally going to be impenetrable sometimes. Over on her tactical, Respawn have also flattened the trajectory and also slightly lowered the pitch, increasing the overall range so you can throw it way further. Also, her tactical size has been increased by roughly 50%, and Respawn have reduced the delay before spikes can deal damage from 2 seconds to 1 second. Also, you can now have 3 spike traps maximum instead of the original 2. Additionally, the activation radius of her tactical has been reduced by 20%, which is how close you have to be before the spikes stand up and the core is vulnerable. For her ultimate, the Dark Veil, you can now toggle to deploy the ultimate horizontally, so you don't have to basically look forward from where you want the ult to start. The length has been increased by 5 meters, and the wall can now build up through standard doors, as well as Lifeline's Dock and Gibraltar's Dome, so I think you can just build through these now. Her ultimate can also be placed on steeper angles at the cost of the Dark Veil duration when enemies walk through, going from 7 seconds to 5 seconds, so I think enemies will be blinded less by her ultimate at the cost of it being bigger and more useful. For her upgrades, on a blue upgrade she has 2 new ones: Hidden Spikes, the spike pool is now hidden to enemies when inactive, and Soul Piercer, spike traps activate 50% faster and deal 5 more damage per hit, which is pretty crazy. To make room for these, Respawn removed Sister Spikes and Long Veil. Moving over to Bloodhound, who's had some pretty decent changes. I think they're definitely going to be a sleeper pick. For their passive, enemies outside of 30 meters no longer block White Ravens from spawning, which is basically the flock upgrade being integrated into the base kit. Clues more than 30 meters away no longer block White Ravens when it was originally 50 meters away. For Bloodhound's tactical, the total scan duration is now up to 4 seconds instead of the original 3. Full body duration remains half of the full scan duration, so it's now 2 seconds instead of 1.5 seconds. Respawn have also reduced the screen coloration during the scan, which means your screen won't go as grey and red, just weird colours that you didn't need, and fewer clues will pop up on screen when your tactical successfully scans an enemy to reduce clutter. For their ultimate, the cooldown is reduced to 2.5 minutes from 4 minutes, which is a big change. Activation time is reduced by around 20%. After activation, the wider FOV gradually shifts back to your normal FOV, and knocks while your ultimate is active increases the duration by 5 seconds. And if your ultimate's less than 10 seconds, it will always reset to 10 seconds. Respawn also wanted to mention, even though it's not a change, knocks while your ultimate is active reset your tactical duration. Bloodhound has 3 new upgrades: Taste of Blood, which regens 50 health when getting a knock while your ultimate is active; Raven's Flight, when activating your White Ravens, they can ping enemies twice as far as normal; Hunter's Agility, your tactical is faster to use and takes 5 seconds off the cooldown time, and I do believe Eye of Allfather has been removed from level 2 and put into level 3. To make room, Respawn removed Raven's Blessing, Flock, and Sighthound. Moving on to Crypto, who yes, has had changes. Respawn said we wanted power coupling to add value for Crypto while actively piloting the drone and scanning enemies. But with the current version, its main impact is refunding ult charge on the EMP scan. To help refocus the upgrade, we've changed the behavior, so it no longer gains ult charge on EMP scan. So power coupling is disabled for 5 seconds after the EMP, and Respawn have reduced the charge gained from scanning players from 10 to 5, so you can't chain Crypto EMPs, which was annoying. Pathfinder has also had some unexpected changes. Respawn say, Grapple God is the runaway upgrade choice at level 3. We want to offer some more benefit to Feeling Zippy without a big refresh to Pathfinder, so the choices are more compelling. So now for Feeling Zippy, which is a level 3 upgrade, it increases allied movement speed on the energized ziplines from 1000 to 1350, and Feeling Zippy additionally increases allied acceleration on energized ziplines from 700 to 800. So basically, if you take an energized Pathfinder zipline now, it has a higher max speed, and you'll reach that max speed way faster. For Octane, Respawn said, Daredevil's time extension was letting Octane chain sequential fights longer than we'd like. As such, we're making an adjustment to the max time extension, so the max duration extension is reduced from 6 seconds to 3 seconds. Moving on to the weapon changes, and shotguns are definitely going to be meta, I'll just say that. First, to celebrate shotguns becoming more meta, the EVA 8, Peacekeeper, and Sentinel finally have new inspect animations. We've been waiting for this EVA 8 inspect for so damn long, and it's finally here. For marksman weapons, the G7 is going into the care package, which means it's receiving the double tap trigger. Its damage has been increased by 1 from 36 to 37. The rate of fire has been increased, and it can be equipped with sniper optics, which is a massive throwback to the early days of Apex. Over on the bow check, the max damage has been decreased to 60 from 65, and the max energized damage has been decreased from 50 from 55, and they've increased the draw time. The bow check has been nerfed. This gun is always just going to be good in the hands of pros, and then nobody else. The 30-30 has had its base damage decreased from 43 to 41, and the damage multiplier from charging a shot has been reduced as well, and the charge time has been increased. On the triple take, the rate of fire has been reduced, and respawn have slightly increased the choke time. Over on the P2020, which has come out the care package and now is floor loot again, respawn have removed the kinetic feeder hop up and reduced the damage from 25 to 23. They've reduced the reload speed though, but also reduced the rate of fire and increased the enhanced hipfire spread. Over onto shotguns, they're now the new golden boys for the rest of the season, as first of all they do more damage to Hardlight Mesh, and over on the Mastiff, respawn have decreased the pellets per blast from 6 to 5, but increased the damage per pellet from 16 to 19 and adjusted the blast pattern. I think this is going to be pretty powerful. For the EVA 8, respawn have slightly increased the rate of fire and tightened the blast pattern. This thing is going to become a beast. It always happens when the EVA gets buffed. It's going to be OP for 2 weeks before it gets nerfed. Over on the locked hop-ups, Dual Shell is now coming to the Mastiff and Repeater, which means you reload 2 bullets per shot. Hammer points are coming to the P20, which means you do more damage against unarmored opponents. The Disruptor is coming to the Peacekeeper, which means you do more damage against armored opponents. The Gun Shield Generator is coming to the Triple Take, Hemlock, and R301, which means you get a gun shield. The Graffiti mod has been removed from the Volt and Mastiff and been added to the L-Star and Longbow. The Double Tap Trigger is coming to the EVA 8, and the Turbocharger has had its points to unlock reduced from 600 to 500 on the Devotion. For the balance updates, the P20 is coming back to the floor and the G7 is entering the care package. Gold weapons are the Sentinel Flatline Peacekeeper 3030 Akimbo P2020, and Evo changes have been done. Reviving teammates now only provides full Evo for the first 2 revives per team per game. Each subsequent revive will reward 25 less Evo until no Evo is rewarded. And this is because some of you have been caught intentionally going down and then getting revived from those downs to get free Evo. Respawn have caught you. For ranked, it's receiving some changes to the matchmaking, which you might be interested in. Respawn say, we're implementing focused changes based on learnings from a previous matchmaking tests. Our previous end of season tests that restricted masters and prep players from matchmaking below various diamond ranks have led us to bake in these changes directly into each season. To provide the best possible matchmaking experience, we're shifting the restrictions dynamically each season as the rank populations naturally shift through the duration of the split. The timing of when these restrictions kick in, as well as exactly which diamond ranks can match with masters, will depend on when the population of those players is high enough to sustain good matchmaking. We'll continue to provide additional updates throughout the coming season as we monitor and adjust. So basically, ranked is now going to have like an overseer constantly changing who Preds and Masters match with, so this is going to be interesting to see how that goes. For equipment, Respawn have cleaned up the loot pool a bit. Knockdown shields have been removed from the loot pool and integrated into your Evo, so now your knockdown level is your Evo level. White backpacks have been removed from the loot pool, and you now drop with a white backpack. For maps, Season 28 is starting with Broken Moon, E-District, and World's Edge, and here are the mixtape rotations. Obviously, over in Ranked, you probably already know drop zones are now disabled in Ranked, and here are the Ranked ladder dates. For Wildcard, it's on Kings Canyon until the 10th of March, which is when I expect the mid-season update to come through, or just a new event. And Respawn are changing Wildcard respawning, and I don't really know what to think of this. As Respawn said, when players die in quick succession, they will be more aggressively pushed further away from their previous death location and closer towards the center of the ring. I don't know what I think about that one. Honestly, I don't really like that change. I like constantly dropping it into fights and just fighting until someone gets wiped out first. For Controller Legends and Wildcard, Controller Legends can now remotely pick up their deployed tacticals just as they can do in other modes. Of course, if you aren't aware, as well as these changes, we're getting Bot Royale Evolved this season, and basically what Respawn are doing is improving the bots massively. Here are all of the changes, and also Bot Royale now has players in it but you can do your challenges through Bot Royale. Respawn say Bot Royale has evolved, and it's now a full BR experience mixing humans and Apex bots. Bot Royale Evolved lobbies will consist of 1 to 5 full human squads and 15 to 19 bot squads, 20 squads total. Bot Royale Evolved has tighter matchmaking compared to trios to make sure you have the opportunity to have an opponent at your level. If we cannot find those, we'll backfill with bots. Bot Royale Evolved now has the same length as a normal unranked BR game, and XP gains are no longer capped, so you have the ability to progress your challenges and earn XP, but earning badges is restricted. So basically, Bot Royale Evolved is just going to be a normal pubs game of Fortnite with the amount of bots in it. This season we also got a decent selection of bug fixes, including Respawn finally fixing the EVA reactive skin breaking animations. This has been an issue for probably like a year and a half. Thank you for fixing it finally. And we have these fixes right here. Onto legend fixes, which I care about a lot more. Octane has had a lot of bug fixes, which is so good because it was so annoying to play him due to the amount of bugs. First, FOV scaling issues have been fixed with Stim Surge. Finally, Respawn have fixed Stim Surge, sometimes lowering your speed. Good. Respawn have fixed Stim Surge being used first if it was previously cancelled with a mantle, and Respawn have fixed a bug where Stim Surge would trigger automatically in a multitude of contexts. I know you guys are happy about that one. They've also fixed a bug where Daredevil could grant Battle Surge movement speed in addition to fast reloads. For Valk, Respawn have fixed the ultimate being blocked by a trident and leaving the scan on permanently. Quality of life changes. In Control, weapons will no longer interrupt shooting, healing, or other actions when leveling up, which I think has been fixed like 4 times. Basically, they'll just update seamlessly in your hand without your weapon essentially being swapped for a better version. For Ballistic, his sling will no longer interrupt shooting when the sling weapon is being upgraded or downgraded as part of the ultimate when leveling up Evo, and the settings menu has had a nice little overhaul to make it a bit easier to navigate, which is huge. Respawn have updated voice lines when pinging an elite weapon, and Respawn beacon icons on the map and minimap will now flash when they're being used by another team. On top of this, there have been some engine fixes and a wish list update. Certain rare, epic, and legendary Apex packs can now be upgraded to wishlist enabled packs, which I think will give you the opportunity to get some wishlist items from normal packs, which is a good thing. Once these packs are upgraded, your active wishlist selections will influence the guaranteed item slot for these packs. All previous rarity drop rates and Apex pack guarantee rules apply to the upgraded wishlist pack. Upgrade Apex packs into wishlist enabled packs in the pack inventory screen using legend tokens. The upgrade button will now only show for eligible packs, and you can upgrade multiple at a time. If your wishlist is unavailable, pack upgrading is also unavailable. The cost to upgrades are as follows. So great, we have a new use for legend tokens, but it's just artificially made, to be honest. The wishlist system has only been used once so far. Everybody absolutely hated it, and it seems like Respawn don't want to remove it, but want to make it more accessible. I think they'll be better just forgetting about wishlists because everybody hates them, they're bad. But it's not going to happen. So if you have a lot of legend tokens, at least you might be able to get some events for a bit cheaper. But a few hours after this video, I should be streaming Season 28 early, so check that out if I am. And if not, subscribe to see the video on the day of the season release, because we'll surely discover a lot of crazy stuff. I remember what I said earlier, hop on War Thunder, it's free on PC, console and mobile. And remember, new and returning players who join from the link in the pinned comment and description will get this massive bonus pack.